my name is Gabe Zolna. I want to spend a few minutes in talking about women on combat roles. You know, Panetta, who probably doesn't know one end of a BB gun from a slingshot, both he and Bozo have decided to allow women to participate in actual combat roles, frontline combat roles. I personally think that's totally insane, and I've made a video on that previously as well. But I just saw some interesting information on Western Center for Journalism, and I didn't know this, but what the article stated is that it costs around $1 million to train a person in the military. I mean, that's just a military guy. That isn't an Air Force guy, or it's not a, you know, I mean, I'm talking a soldier, frontline soldier. So here you go, you spend $1 million to train them, and again, please, I hope women don't take this the wrong way, but women are different than men in a lot of ways. You know, you girls end up having certain things happen on a monthly basis that we don't. And having been married, I know that it can affect them in various ways. And usually it's a certain amount of discomfort that's created, but they can become irritable, they can experience a whole lot of different feelings and sensations. And, you know, can you imagine, you know, you're on the combat line, you're on the front line there, and you're shooting your M16s or whatever you're shooting, and all of a sudden you start having a period, you know? Not a good situation. The other problem as well is that once the military makes an investment of $1 million, they expect to get some kind of return on that investment. So if, you know, you get pregnant and, you know, you're going to have a baby, then what happens then? You know, men can't have babies. Men can cause women to have babies, but they can't have babies themselves. So to deploy women on a combat role is completely insane. And all it'll do is it'll weaken our military even more than it's already going to get weakened with the sequestration that, you know, the boys are putting through. And that's because that special committee, you know, that John Kerry was involved in, they couldn't come to terms. So the sequestration all kicked in, and now we're trying to deal with that complete mess as well. Anyway, what I believe is, as I said in one of my other videos as well on this topic, is that, you know, women have a role, and yeah, they can fly airplanes, and they can be on ships, and they can do a lot of logistics, but to have them strap on their you know, their gear and their flak vests and all the rest of it is totally insane. The natural instinct for a man is to protect a woman. You know, that's really what we do. That's what we've always done. So, again, picture this. You're in a foxhole, there's a firefight going on, and you got 2 or 3 women with you. What are you going to focus on? You're not going to focus on the enemy, you're going to focus on trying to protect them. Now, there are women that might very easily adapt to a combat role. People that look like Janet Neapolitano and Eleni Kagan and Sonia Sotomayor. The chances of them getting pregnant are like 0, okay? And, you know, they probably look good in a pair of combat boots because they sure as heck don't look good in a skirt. I'll bet you they haven't worn a skirt for like a long time. I bet you they haven't worn a dress in a long time. You know, they wear those baggy pants, you know what I mean? To look butch. Anyway, I think it's insane that women are in combat roles. I think women have an awful lot to offer within the military, and there's no doubt that they add a great deal of value. But to expect them to strap on, once again, a backpack, a flak vest, ammunition belt, whatever else the boys strap on is completely insane. You girls are built different, thank God, than guys, you know? And fortunately, most guys like that. Now, there are guys like Obama, you know, he don't care which way it goes, you know what I mean? And that Rahm Emanuel. Did you know that Rahm Emanuel's a very good ballet dancer? I can see him floating around, you know, with his skirt on. What a joke. Bunch of jack-offs.